Today we're talking about how to share your story and share your message in vibrational alignment, because there is a difference in sharing from truth and sharing from trauma. And I'm going to give you an example. There was a part of me at the beginning of my journey who wanted to share my story because I wanted people to know what I went through. I just wanted to be seen in my pain. I wanted them to know that narcissist, I wanted to expose them. I wanted to call them out. I wanted people to know that the facade that they had put up wasn't real. I wanted them to see what was done to me. I wanted to be seen. And that was from trauma. Now, luckily, my guides didn't let me share at that time. They kept saying, you've got to alchemize, you've got to alchemize. And so I worked through that process. And now when I share, I never share from a place of being a victim because I no longer feel like a victim. Back then, I felt like a victim still of my own story. And I wanted people to see it. I wanted people to hear it. I wanted people to validate me. I wanted people to know what I had been through. I wanted all of these things, but what I really needed to do was I needed to see me. And then I was able to share from truth. And so now when you hear me share my story, I'm never coming from a victim perspective. I always speak about it to be of service. So I don't tell my story. I talked about this earlier, but it's very sacred to me because it's sacred medicine. I don't tell my story for me. I tell my story for other people. I tell my story so it doesn't become theirs. I tell my story so if it is their story, they can see themselves, they know they're not alone, and they can find a way out. I tell my story so it gives permission for someone else to tell their story. I tell my story so people feel seen and heard. I tell it for service and it's sacred. I don't tell it because I want validation. I don't tell it because I need to be seen. I know that through just being my authentic self, it brings visibility. So when I share from that place. And there's a huge difference and people can sense that frequency. So when we share from truth and alignment, it's talking about this from a place of not here's what happened to me, it's here's how I overcame this thing, because I want whoever's reading it to be inspired and to see a path, not here's what happened to me and here's all I went through in case you're going through it too. That's not sharing from an inspired place of truth. It's trauma bonding. And here's the thing. You can share your story however you want to, and I encourage people to just share because I think it's more powerful to share, even if it's out of alignment or out of not in the right vibration, than it is to stay silent. But when you do it from a place of truth versus trauma, it changes everything, especially if you are trying to bring people in, whether it's community or attracting the right partner, lover, friend, maybe it's a business, like whatever it is, the alchemy, the vibration, all of that is so important. That's why we spent so much time healing and alchemizing your story. And now I just want to give you examples. Okay, in this worksheet, I put some examples here of trauma versus truth, right? How does it feel in your body when you share from old pain or people-pleasing energy? How does it feel when you share from your current grounded truth? And your story is going to evolve. So there might be a time where you're telling your story and you might still be in some of the pain, but you're still sharing from a place of service, a place of sacredness. You're not sharing to be seen or to be validated because here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with doing that. The thing is, nobody outside of you can see or validate you. You're putting your power outside of yourself. So I'm not saying like, oh, just because you want to be seen, there's something wrong with that, or you want someone to validate you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just you can't put that power outside of yourself. So how does it feel and sound when you share from this like grounded truth? And you may not know what that is yet, but you're going to get there. So it's practice sharing. But again, if you at least have the intention that it's to be of service versus I hope someone will see me, hear me, and validate me, it will already change the way your story emanates out. I want you to prepare your frequency. So I often will be like, what's the truth I want to share today? What's the truth the collective needs? I'm not my past. I'm the power that created my past. So I don't feel shame about what I'm sharing. I know the right people will find my story. I even do visualizations. And I see myself sharing my story and the people who need it magnetized, right? They come out of hiding because they can see themselves. They see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel or whatever it is. And then you want to package your story consciously. So you don't need to tell your entire life story to make an impact. Choose the pieces that resonate, right? They're relevant, they're resonant in your body, it feels good to talk about them, and they match your current frequency. So again, you'll never hear me talk like I'm a victim. You'll never hear me talk like from pain or sadness. I always wait until I'm fully alchemized as much as I can be. Again, it is an evolution, but I always do it from a place of service. So even if I am still feeling the pain, because I'm doing it from a conscious place of service and because I want to help someone, the impact is totally different and the delivery is different. I want you to even think about this. Like, if we were to use the sentence, one day I woke up and I realized I didn't know who was looking in the mirror at me. I had been living my life for other people. So let's think about one way to say this. If you're still speaking from trauma, one day I woke up and I had no idea who I was. I didn't know who was looking in the mirror. I didn't even know I was living my life this way. There's trauma there. That's not just passion, there's trauma. Versus if you're sharing it from truth, it's one day I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I had no idea who I was. I didn't even know what life I had been living. And that's when I knew it was time to change. It's a grounded version where my truth emanates through that versus the trauma. And I'm not talking about like, I'm asking you to look at frequency right now. Yes, there's a different tone and voice, but there's a different frequency. There's pain versus trauma. There's alchemy versus process. Okay. So yes, you can use whatever tone you want. Maybe you have an excited tone. Maybe you have a very calm, centered tone, like whatever it is, and your tone should change. Because if you have just one tone, then you're not being authentic. If you were to go look at all my content, you'll see different versions of me. There's times where I'm really excited. There's times where I'm really subdued, serious, funny. Like you'll see all versions of me there because that's me. That's how I want to express on different days. I'm not, all rainbows and butterflies every day. So think about the frequency that you're emanating with. And always when you are speaking, do it from a place of truth. Because again, the second you are looking for anyone outside of you to receive you in a certain way and provide you with something, you are putting the power outside of you. And that's a very dangerous place to be. It is no one's job to validate you, to create space for you, to hold you. Those are beautiful things when it happens, but it's no one's job to do that. And the second you realize that, you start to create that space for yourself. And then you no longer need it from someone else. And that is where you want to be, because the second you put your power outside of yourself, it is a very dangerous place to be. It's a very slippery slope. And it makes this process very hard. It makes it very hard to share from truth if you're constantly wanting something mirrored back to you. It's okay to want to be successful. It's okay to want followers. It's okay to want a best-selling book. It's okay to want your music to break records. It's okay to want all of those things. And you get to have all of those things as soon as you don't have the desperate energy of needing that reflected back to you. Because again, back to the manifestation, when we have that attachment, that desperate energy, it actually just repels it. So I want you to spend some time thinking about the vibration of what you're sharing, how you want to share it. What parts are you still sharing from trauma or pain? What parts are already grounded in your truth? And how can you create a process for evolution and practice while still holding both of those vibrations and being of service to whoever is here and needs your medicine?